what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football. Welcome back to your Sunday night live stream. I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Pleased to be joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Bobby Burton, and joined by the estimable Jerry Hamilton as well. And of course, like all Longhorn fans, we are distracted following Texas football right now. Bottom of the first. Win or go home situation for the Longhorn baseball team versus UTSA, and they got a little revenge on their mind too from what happened versus UTSA earlier in this regional. So we'll talk about that. Baseball questions, throw them out there. There's some recruiting to get to as well. Lots of recruiting nuggets. So we'll talk about that. Bobby's got some nice recruiting nuggets for you. Looking ahead, 27, 28. Prospects for the Longhorns. Pro Football Focus has been showing the Longhorns some love. They got a way too early mock draft out that we'll discuss a little bit. Also showing Colin Simmons some love as the top edge prospect overall in the country. So we'll get into that too and talk about it. And of course, all of your questions, whatever you guys want to talk about, throw it out there. Questions, comments, we'll try to address as many of them as we can. Super chats always jump to the front of the line so you can interrupt the show at any time and drive in any direction you want to. So we'll get into that. But good luck to the baseball team. I know a lot of you out there on pins and needles right now watching Texas baseball. So we'll try to, as we go, almost make it kind of an in-game discussion about. We can't do an in-game kind of live watch. We'll do an in-game discussion about what's going on with Texas baseball whilst discussing Texas football. But what's going on, gentlemen? Happy Sunday to everybody out there. Bobby, hope you're doing well. You got some recruiting nuggets that have been kind of top of mind for this weekend, right?
Roughly 20 offers went out from the Texas football staff today at the June 1 Elite Camp. Jerry's been covering that. CJ was out at the DKR a little bit today as well. But maybe the biggest news, Jerry, I'd like to get your feedback on this, is quarterback Gunnar Rivers, the progeny of Phillip Rivers, the former NFL quarterback out of Mobile, Alabama, was in town today. We thought he might be making it. We didn't know if he would, and he kind of left without talking much about it. At this point, he has not told anybody who all has offered him a scholarship. He didn't mention that again today at the University of Texas. But, Jerry, a little bit of a surprise there, although a couple other quarterbacks were in town as well. Malachi Ziegler, Peyton Houston, both out of the Shreveport area in Louisiana. And then Texas actually offered several 2028 quarterbacks today, two of them out of the state of Florida, Neiman Lawrence out of Miami Northwestern, and then Jaden Wade out of IMG Academy. Both were offered, but those are all the way into 2028, class of 2028. Most of these offers today were 2027s.
Yeah, just a bunch of guys that are offering. What does it mean? It means they're on the list, right? They're high on the list. If you look back a year ago, there were a lot of offers made this time of year. Texas didn't end up going after those guys, so these kids have to progress. We'll see who becomes the guys. I think some of the guys who are already there that already had offers, like five-star corner John Meredith, offensive tackle Caden Scott. Those are some big names there today. It was a pretty good turnout today. Obviously, the quarterbacks. It'll be interesting. Gunnar Rivers has offers from Auburn, Miami, NC State, and a few others that are known, right? They're known offers. So A.J. Millway's been by there a couple times. He was by Evangel a couple times. He was by to see Malachi Ziegler at May as well. We'll see that there's another elite camp on the 5th and then one on the 12th. And we'll see how many other 2027 quarterbacks show up at these two camps. And I think we'll probably know at that point where Texas is looking to head at 27 and quarterback and who they're really going to make a push for. Obviously, Peyton Houston's been on campus to most of those guys. Then it's Malachi Ziegler. This was Gunnar Rivers' first known visit to Texas. And I'm going to air quotes that because that kid, they move around. It may have been his first. They move around, though. He just started showing up 4 visits publicly at Auburn and a couple others this spring. So we'll see where it goes with those guys. But a lot of guys offered today. Some guys that I like that were offered today that I do think will be high on Texas board as long as they keep progressing. Alvin Mosley, the wide receiver out of the new school at Arcola Crawford High School. He is a D1 basketball player and football player. He has small D1 offers in basketball. Really good player. Aiden Starling, the receiver from Shadow Creek. I've seen him when he was at Iowa Colony. He's very good. Cameron Hall, the edge out of Mansfield Summit's got a lot of talent. Eli Johnson, the safety out of Cibolo, still will be one of the top safeties in the country. Those are the standouts of the 27s. Obviously, the 28, worth mentioning the running back Micah Rhodes at Klein Oak. Obviously, his uncle Bobby Rhodes was I think had 12 sacks as a freshman at Texas, one of those records. One of those, yeah, Rod. He was one of those guys Colin Simmons was chasing. So he was one of the 28 notables for me. And the two quarterbacks, obviously, IMG Academy, Miami Northwestern, those guys are so far down the road right now.
All right.
I think he's actually his grandfather, Jerry.
Is it grandfather?
I think I was texting with a Texas player today that went to college with him. He graduated in '84.
Makes sense.
He's from Houston Smiley, the grandfather.
Yep. Smiley.
Yeah. I remember that.
Smiley's no longer school. Mike Gusnell, John Meredith, the corner from Euless Trinity was there. A long way to go in all these recruitments. He's great. He's a tremendous prospect. By the way, we're about to at some point. We're looking like we're going to have a special guest here. So, obviously we have the baseball score up right now, 2-0 UTSA. Timothy Wooten asked anything on Vince Young's son. I think his son will be headed into sophomore year this year. He's been at basketball was his favorite sport. I'll check on him and see where he's at.
All right. And unfortunately, UTSA now up 2-0 on the Longhorn baseball team right now. We'll get to some baseball discussion, of course, if you guys want to. But let me ask you, Bobby, because you brought up the 20 offers. Is that unusual since you've been keeping track of this?
I would say
not keeping track, but
I mean, I would lean on Jerry's expertise a little bit here, but that seems extraordinarily high for this time of year based on last year. I think they offered like 7 or 8 at this time. My thinking on it is I actually think they may have had better talent here overall.
They have the ability to get kids on campus.
They're starting to get better guys on campus for these camps, and not just in state. I mean, they offered a kid from New Jersey today that was in town. They offered multiple that were in from Florida. So I feel like it's one of those aspects that is probably underrated right now. One of the things I also would say this is that as we watch Texas, UTSA, of course, leaves nobody on base like they did the other night or last night when they won 9-7. Texas left 15 men on base in that game last night. They've already left 2 men on base, and we're only 1 inning in. Texas needs some timely hits today. They beat Kansas State earlier today with they got some big runs. I think it was 15-8 was the final score of that one. Texas needs to knock some runs in here because leaving guys on base is going to be the death of Texas baseball if they don't come back and win tonight.
This UTSA team, they know they can slay Texas. That's one thing they're confident in. They do seem to have a matchup advantage of some kind when they face the Longhorns. All right, we'll get to some of you guys' questions, and I got a couple of the topics they want to bring up. But first, let's thank our friends over at Rogue Shop, our first sponsor, our only sponsor of our Sunday live stream. Really appreciate them and their ongoing support of On Texas football. Rogue Shop, bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. Remember, use that discount code. You see it right there on your screen on Texas, and you'll get a very special discount from our very special friends over at Rogue Shop, rogueshop.com. Just reach out to them. They have it all, folks, from oils and creams, flour, gummies. They have a variety of different items that can help you deal with a variety of different ailments. Maybe it's sleep deprivation for you. Maybe you're dealing with anxiety. Maybe you're dealing with aches and pains from battling Father Time, probably losing that battle like all of us. But our friends over at rogueshop.com, they can provide you with a variety of different items that'll help you battle those ailments. A member of the On Texas football family recently told me that they were were having trouble getting to sleep. And now, thanks to a couple of items that they use from rogueshop.com, they sleep like a baby. So maybe for you, that'll be the case. So check out rogueshop.com. Use that discount code on Texas, and you'll get a very special discount from our very special friends over at rogueshop.com. All right, bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. I believe I've been told we have a special guest. Jerry did tease special guest coming up for us, right? Is that happening?
Yeah, we do. We have Yaheim Riley's joining us, but he may have gotten a call, so we're waiting on Yaheim Riley's. He's back, and when producer Matt says he's ready to go, I think he's ready now. So, Yaheim Riley, Texas commitment. What's up, Yaheim? Thanks for joining the show. I'm Jerry, Rod Babers, Bobby Burton. Thanks for joining us for a few minutes.
Nice to have you today.
Yaheim, you committed to Texas. Yeah, you're cutting in and out a little bit. Rod Babers is the DB here in the room, so I'm going to let him ask you some questions, buddy.
Hey, Yaheim, how much man coverage do y'all play? I want to know that. How much man coverage do you play at that level? You guys playing a lot?
I don't really play that much, but once they get to a certain depth, it get to like a man concept.
So talk to Yaheim. Talk to us about the decision to commit to Texas. Obviously, local guy from Austin. Talk about that decision to commit to Texas and what led you to pick Texas.
Texas is just a good spot. I love the city. I love the weather out here, and I just love the people out here also. And it's just family out here. Ever since I've been out here since my 8th grade year of middle school. So it's just a lot of like family and just memories to put in. So it's just a place for me just to drive for college.
Sorry about that. Yaheim, you were from Austin Anderson. You went to LBJ last year. How important is it to you watching a guy like Jahdae Barron win the Thorpe, a guy like Andrew Makuba, who went to LBJ, come back and then get drafted in the second round? These Austin area DBs, are you trying to keep the pipeline alive there a little bit?
Yes, sir. Kinda, yes, sir. I'm trying to keep the city popping. Austin really little. It ain't really a lot of talent coming out of here, but it is a little talent in Austin. So gotta keep your eyes open.
There you go.
Hey, Yaheim, talking about Jahdae, he's a guy that played a lot of different positions. The most versatile defensive back in the country. Have you played multiple positions in the secondary, or are you just isolated to playing one?
I need some internet for. Can you repeat that? Sorry, I ran out of internet.
Oh, no worries, no worries. I was just asking you, have you played multiple positions in the secondary during your time as a DB?
Yes, sir. I played the nickel position. I play a little corner, and I just play safety, and also I play in the box too if they need me.
So
yes, sir.
Canodo Hudson, I think Canodo Hudson was big in your recruitment to Texas. Obviously, you talked to Dwayne Akina as well. Talk about what their message was to you. Kind of what position are they thinking you may begin your career at?
My career might start off at nickel, but as I progress and just show them what I can do on the field and like how quick I could pick up things, they might just start moving me around in that backfield so I could just see what's going on and might pick off some posts and stuff in practice. So I just got to show out what I can do.
Yaheim, when did you decide that you were going to be a Longhorn? Like, was it right after they offered you? Did it take a little while for you to get used to it? Because you had started off committed to the University of Houston, then backed off of that. When was it that you decided you were going to be a Longhorn?
Hello?
Yeah, we got you.
I think we're having some problems here, Jerry. We can one last question here, Yaheim. When was it that you decided you wanted to be a Longhorn? Like, what was it, and what was the time where you said, "Okay, I got to do this. This is what I want to do"?
Just for sitting down, talking with my family for quite some time, and just just remembering about what Coach Aquino taught me about, and just about what Coach Canoto taught me about, just about making me to a successful young man, just to build me as a young man, just to want to make me a better young man as I get older. So just to put me in that position, just to want to put myself in that position, just a good spot for me and my family, because I seen all those people in that staff and stuff take a lot of people to the NFL. So I just want to be a part of that boat too.
Cool. All right, Yaheim, thanks for joining us for a few minutes, and we're going to have you back on a couple times during the season. And best of luck to you, and congrats on your commitment to Texas.
Thanks, Yaheim. Hook 'em.
Hook 'em, bud. Take care of yourself. There we go. All right. That's good. We tried to get him on there a little bit. A little delayed reaction at times. All right.
No, that was good. I got some good info. I need to know. I got some good info. I know the man. He plans on playing different positions, and they've talked to him. They obviously have talked to him about being versatile in that secondary and playing multiple spots. I'm trying to just see like how compatible he is with where I think the defense was going. So,
and he trains with a trainer named Bam in the Austin area.
Bam fan, yeah,
Bam. Obviously, Jade Barron, Makuba, Taff, all those guys train with him. So you know that Bam's training him to be a multiple defender, just like he does all those other guys.
Yeah, I wanted to get my Coach Aquino question in, but we had time for that. I'll ask him about Coach Aquino another time.
By the way, we haven't mentioned this. So in the chat, they did. Softball plays Tennessee tomorrow. Obviously, Oklahoma's now on the other side of the bracket. Oklahoma's beating Oregon, so Oklahoma will be on the other side of the bracket against Texas Tech. So Oklahoma has to beat Texas Tech's $1 million pitcher 2 games in a row. Texas, we expect to see. We'll see what Pickens has in the tank tomorrow. She's thrown a lot for Tennessee already in this tournament. So see what their stud pitcher has in the tank tomorrow. But Tennessee has to beat Texas twice.
Yeah. Texas in the catbird seat.
Yes.
For that situation. Obviously, Texas baseball right now, not in that situation. They need some momentum. So we'll get to some updates about Texas baseball as well. I want to ask you guys about something. This is something that I was talking to someone about with Texas, which is how talented this team is overall, because every year, credit to Sark, team has won more games, and essentially capping it off with the latest recruiting class. Texas has essentially been able to up the talent, right? The talent standard, if you will, in terms of the roster construction. When has that happened in recent modern recruiting for Texas, right? Is that because Mac didn't really? I don't know if Mac had the thing where he won more games every year and also built to that crescendo.
Yeah,
we won 11 games in 01 and 02, and then 03 had a little, little not setback, but maybe just a minor regression. While that 02 class kind of took over the roster, and then once that took over the roster, boom, it was theirs. It just seems like it's building to a crescendo, and it was different. And obviously, college football is different, right? You got the portal, you got NIL, so maybe just the construction is building. Maybe the trajectory is going to be different too. But I was just wondering that Mac didn't build it really like that. It didn't have that type of linear projection really, or trajectory, right? Not both at the same time.
Correct.
No, yeah. I would agree with that, Rod.
How often is that? Do y'all know any other? Like, is that the way Georgia did it?
It's typically
Georgia Bama. Is that the way we did it?
There's a little bit of a banjo effect, right? Like you get good and you have a breakout year, then recruiting starts picking up a little bit after, so there's like a lag. Jerry and I have talked about this before, and usually it takes a couple of years, especially now, when recruiting is done so early ahead of time. I mean, Rod, it was one thing when you would have a season and then all of your commitments would come in February or January, right? Now they're a year ahead of time and all of them happen in December. So literally Texas isn't even seeing the fruits of its first Final Four appearance until really this year from the Washington game 2 years ago. So there is a little bit of a banjo effect, and you said non-linear. I would agree with that. That's typical.
Yeah, but it was like with the Heisman, right? Ricky's Heisman season.
Right.
You got that, the 99, and then maybe the 01, 02 years when you won 11 games. You were really, really close. Had a celebrity quarterback in Sims, and then boom, you get the 02 01 class. But you're right. Mac didn't see the fruits of that really until 04, 05. It's interesting that it's just that Sark's, it seems like it's the trajectory of both the talent and also the wins have gone in the same direction. And it hadn't happened at Texas. I'm sure maybe Bama and Georgia have been kind of the easy examples of that.
Well, Rod, what's interesting about, I was just looking at coaches and tenures at schools, and because I was thinking about that, Kirby walked into Georgia and they were all already really good and really talented, right? So that didn't really, what you're talking about, no. The Kirby just had to kind of get them over the top and win more of those in-state battles, especially in South Atlanta and into South Georgia, where they were getting beat down a little bit. But if you look around, Nick Saban, even at LSU, none of these guys had a losing season and then had to build up from there.
Yeah,
really.
That's true.
I mean, Pete Carroll went 6-6 in 01 at USC, then started building up from there. Sark's builds a little bit more. Or I looked at Urban Meyer at Florida because Florida had been kind of after Spurrier, right? But he came in and went 9-3, 13-1, 9-4, and then 13-13. So if you look at it, Rod, it's a really good point. I mean, there haven't been that many that had to build like Sark did. I mean, Urban goes into Ohio State. No, I mean, to your point. I mean, so what Sark's done is impressive because he didn't walk into a talented, well-run, starting on second and a half base, stealing third, blue blood program. He came in when it was struggling and had to build it. So in some ways, that's extraordinarily impressive because when you look at some of the other guys, Saban had to rebuild Bama, but he did it so quick because they had that special class of kids in state, that second class. Nick went 6-7 year one, but then it immediately catapulted after that. So it was a longer build for Sark, Bobby, than a lot of these guys in recent memory.
Yeah.
What's
up, CJ? Sorry, we came in mid-conversation. I apologize about that. How you doing?
What's going on, guys?
Yeah. Well, first of all, to get your thoughts about Texas baseball since you're on here. I mean, what are your thoughts about how the evening has gone so far for the Longhorns?
Obviously not great, right? Down 2-0, bottom of the second. It's tough. Texas, obviously, right now, you're seeing some key bats go pretty cold. And this is not the time in which you want to see that. Bobby, I know you mentioned earlier, 15 guys left on base last night, already 3 through 2. You'd like to see some success, some consistency with guys in scoring position. That's essentially what makes, good teams great in the postseason is capitalizing, stretching a 1 to 2 run inning into a 4, 5, 6. And Texas just has not been able to do that. The arms are already running thin, and you're certainly seeing the absence of a Jared Spencer tonight. So it's unfortunate. Last night was pretty inexcusable. The start to this game right now, not off to the best start, obviously. But, hey, you got 7 innings to work with. Let's see what they can put up. And we've seen that top of the order, find hot or lightning in a bottle basically at any point. So you got to get out of this inning first. But 2 guys on, 1 out. Let's see what they can do.
Yeah, it just doesn't look good. I mean, they're running low on pitching, to CJ's point, and there's no timely hitting. I mean, that's
it's a bad.
I don't know what to say other than CJ. My question to you, and far be it from me to second guess Jim Schlossnagle on it. Would you have seen, or could you foresee a change in the batting order at least? I mean, I felt like they didn't. They're not. I mean, they're beating their head up against the wall right now, hitting. It's like Jonah Williams' bat is live at times, but he's not. He's down in the order. They're striking out in key situations. Yeah. Popped up a bunt yesterday in a big situation. And they're just not playing. there's some baseball right now that's not working for them, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. And look, it's interesting because it feels like every time through the lineup, you see one of the guys in the top half get hits, but you don't see it consistently, right? They don't string them together, and when they do, well, the guys below them in that order, they're not able to punch them in. And right now, I understand there's a lot of frustration with the Will Gasparino. We've heard a lot of conversation about a Jalen Flores in the play at shortstop versus that in center field as well. Personally, if I'm Jim Schloss, I see what's going on in outfield right now, and I say, Tommy Farmer, grab your mitt, head on out to center field, because you're getting completely uncompetitive at bats from Will Gasparino at the moment, and a lot of those coming with guys on base. So that was a big issue last night. It's been an issue already today. I would find a guy like Tommy Farmer who's strung together some pretty competitive at bats when he's in the lineup, especially late in SEC play. You can't keep doing this, right? This is your life. This is your season. You got to make a change.
Yeah. We'll see. The thing that I'm, interested in, Texas sitting there with 3 hits already compared to just 1 for UTSA. Both runners on base right now from a walk and a hit by pitch. They scored another run off a walk. Yep. It's just tighter baseball. You gotta. Giving up three free passes in 2 innings is not winning baseball. I'll put it that way from a pitching staff. So we'll see if it continues.
It's been an interesting regional already. A lot of upsets. Number 1, Vanderbilt's already out. They're done. They didn't make super regional. They're out. They got eliminated today. This has been an interesting college baseball regional before even the super regional. Clemson went out. They had fun with the Savannah Bananas. People are having fun with that on social media a few weeks ago. But there's been Georgia's out. There's been a lot of upsets thus far in the regional weekend. Teams not making super regionals that were expected to make super regionals.
Yeah, and you see it there, Bobby. You mentioned tightening things up. Error by Ethan Walker on the hill, gets the runner on second over to third, ends up getting the strikeout from the guy at the plate. But it's those little things. Extra 90 feet add up, especially when you're facing a team playing with a lot of confidence, and that's UTSA.
Look, they haven't put the ball in play this inning, and UTSA has runners on first and third. Now they're out of the inning, but that's not playing the odds, I guess. In baseball, as much as any sport out there is playing the long odds, right? And so they've got to get better. Hopefully the bats wake up. I have to believe that UTSA has got to be running thin on pitching at some level too, CJ. So hopefully that happens here pretty quick as well, and Texas can get to the different part of their lineup.
UTSA playing some of their best baseball.
Hey, by the way, I wanted to say something because we talked about this Friday morning on Coffee and Football. I gave a hat tip to Oklahoma softball because that winner's rod, that winner's DNA they continue to show. No matter Tennessee should have pitched the girl, Pickens didn't throw fastball, whatever happens, that girl walked up into a 3-run homer to win a game when they had no business winning the game. But I wanted to give a shout out to Mike White and his team for beating Oklahoma, because I'm here to tell you, Oklahoma, and they may not win 4, or maybe their run comes to an end, the dynasty comes to an end, but this year for them. But they have serious winner's DNA on a softball diamond. They are really a high belief in themselves, and that reminded me with Mike White when Kirby beat Nick Saban. It took Kirby a while to beat Nick Saban. Mm-hmm. Because that winner's DNA is really strong. And, to be the man, you have to beat the man. And I just hat tip to that softball team, Mike White, for beating Oklahoma, because that is a tough team to beat, legitimately. And they're obviously Oklahoma's beating Oregon right now. And then if Oklahoma wins that game, then it comes down to Cody Campbell's NIL versus the dynasty.
Hey, did y'all see? I don't know, Rod, if you and CJ saw this, but on Friday morning, may have been Thursday morning. No, it's Friday morning. We had Jolie Mitchell, the young lady who hit 2 home runs on Thursday. We had her on on Coffee and Football Friday morning. She was terrific. And then she went and hit a home run against OU yesterday and was crying at the podium afterwards after Tegan Cave on her grandmother passed away. That was some storybook stuff yesterday for the Longhorns in beating Oklahoma in their own backyard in front of all those people. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's the timely hitting that Texas baseball is currently lacking right now.
Yep.
All right, and the ladies will be taking on Tennessee, as Jerry brought up earlier. The Tennessee Volunteers on Monday. They'll be taking them on. All right, getting back to it, I know we talked earlier about some of the offers that were made to some of the prospects in the 27-28 class. Matthew here wants to know any update on 27 QBs. Rivers, just to recap for those who may have joined us a little bit later on. We started out the show talking about some of those offers that went out. What about the offers on specific quarterbacks in the future 27 class?
Yeah, I know that was a hot topic today. Of course, it felt like all eyes in Austin, especially for the elite camp, were on the 2027 quarterbacks. I spoke very briefly with Gunnar Rivers as he was leaving Austin today. He said no offer has been extended by the Texas staff, but that the staff remains very interested. We'll see if the offer is eventually extended. Again, the only quarterback on campus that Texas has offered and remains uncommitted was Peyton Houston, who said afterward that he continues to feel like a priority and that coming back to Texas each time is because, in large part, because of that relationship with A.J. Milwee, with Steve Sarkeesian. He said, look, it's Texas, right? How could I not be interested? So he was at USC earlier in the week, still plans to go see Clemson, but been to Texas about 6-7 times by now. Right now, I have to imagine that he's going to continue to be the name that you hear in that 27 class until another offer is extended. Now, there were other quarterbacks in that class that were on campus this afternoon. Of course, Malachi Ziegler out of Benton, Louisiana, Jerry Meyer III out of Waxahachie. Still no offers to either of them, at least not that have been made known publicly. With that being said, look, again, I think all of the attention kind of turns to that of Peyton Houston for this class. The big focus and kind of development for Houston that he mentioned after the camp was no timetable for commitment. If one is to come, it'll probably come September, October, middle of his junior season is kind of the timeline that he's working on at the moment.
Yeah, and I think there will be a couple more guys come through at this June 5th or 12th camps as well. There'll be a couple of guys come through, I think, in-state and out-of-state. So we'll see. We'll see what happens moving forward there. But I'll say this. I think the colleges are going to be wrong on Gunnar Rivers. I'll move on.
Oh, okay. Can I ask you?
I think these guys will be wrong on that kid.
Are they wrong? Like, are they hating on him? Are they?
People are going to fall into traps with this, I think, and they're going to look foolish.
Okay.
But look. To be clear, Phillip Rivers, Auburn recruited him, told him he might play tight end. So what happens in recruiting?
Yeah.
Vince Young was recruited as a wide receiver by most. It happens.
Would have went to Miami if they would have recruited him all the way for quarterback, by the way.
Yep.
Very possibly until the end when Texas really started about midway through his senior year.
Yeah.
There are like 4 all-time great what-if scenarios about VY. And that's one of them, too.
Yeah.
He just never comes on campus and goes somewhere else. But no, that's good. Yep. That's a nice little nugget there. Let me ask you guys this. How many offers to quarterbacks per cycle or per class?
It's normally 3 or 4.
3 or 4.
Okay.
Yeah, it's normally 3 or 4. The quarterbacks commit early, though. If Texas doesn't have their quarterback commitment by the start of the season, I'd be a little surprised. That would surprise me because that's not the way it's been since Sark's been in Austin. I mean, if you look at quarterback recruiting, everybody's committed in June or July.
Today is normally the day on the calendar in which you kind of see the internal discussion turn to a firm stance in terms of where they're headed for the class or the quarterback in that class. And I don't know, Jerry, if we can definitively say that they've made that decision or if they even believe that they've made that decision because, well, normally when you get a green light from Texas at the quarterback spot to commit, you make that decision pretty clear.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some guys show up on the 5th and maybe even the 12th coming up in that 27 class that I think they want AJ Milwee wants Sark to get eyes on. Because here's the thing to remember about quarterback, and this is one of the dumb rules within recruiting now, is the head coaches can't go out in the spring. So they can't go evaluate those guys at spring practice. They're the head coach. If he's the OC like Sark, but the head coaches, I mean, who you take at quarterback's a big deal for your future. So Sark, doesn't matter. None of these head coaches can go out and see these guys in the spring. So they're dependent on AJ Milwee goes out with his camcorder, his 1998 version, and it sends the video back, right? And they do that with a lot of players, by the way. But then these guys come through and they get around Sark and they have those meaningful conversations, whether it's quarterbacks or parents or whoever it is. It may be, within the case of a KJ Lacey, his head coach, David Morse from QB Country, who obviously Sark's had a long-term relationship with, as AJ Milwee has. Arch Manning is with him, has worked with David Morse since he was in 3rd or 4th grade as well. So I think all those things matter so much, but because a head coach can't go out in the spring and watch these kids perform in spring practice in person, man, it makes these in-person evaluations massive when they're making decisions for the head coach. Because last year, Diabell and Troy Hoon, the two guys that showed up at camp, right? And that decision, and they were leaning Diabell, but that decision was absolutely made at that camp.
Yeah.
And in that setting, sitting down with Sark.
It was also funny looking back to last year. Jaden O'Neal was on campus, and Texas hasn't been a big player in that recruitment. I don't think they ever really were. He makes it to campus and was the first one out, and you immediately see right after, Hune Bell, all right. And then was it Jerry? I believe we all sat there and kind of laughed because O'Neal arrived with an OU backpack to the visit and committed to Oklahoma about 2 weeks later.
That's wild. All right. A couple of actually, guys, we got a couple of questions about Ziegler as well that I wanted to, as we were recapping about the quarterbacks and prospects. A couple of guys want to know about the Ziegler or Houston. There you go. Thank you. Got Katie 35 on the best.
Yeah, we didn't get to speak with Ziegler today. He kind of snuck out right after the camp concluded, so no one got to see him afterward. He arrived with both parents, actually arrived with a helmet, and thought that he was, the quarterbacks were supposed to arrive with the helmet, throw with it on, and I don't think you're actually able to do that in the state of Texas. But that was a pretty funny nugget from beforehand. But I heard he threw well. I think there's still more of a project to his ceiling and ultimately reaching his ceiling. If you go back and look at some of his sophomore tape, there's still some quirks that you got to work out. Houston, I was told, had probably the best ball of the day amongst the 2027 quarterbacks. And that's kind of been the case with some of these throwing sessions that I've seen him in. Obviously, the Elite 11 is one that he shined in very well earlier this spring. And then, look, Texas has seen him on campus about 6 times already. So they're familiar with what he's able to do with his arm. Today, several folks came back and said, yeah, the kid from Shreveport, he can sling it pretty well. So that's kind of been the overarching theme that I've heard from today. The other thing is with Rivers is, I don't know if it was maybe just a rocky day, but depending on who you talk to, he was either lightened up or he was a guy that was pretty inconsistent throughout. So I think that's something to look at as well. He also has a similar kind of funky form, throwing motion to that of his dad. And I think that's just what you get with the Rivers quarterback, right? So I know that, the technical side of a Milwee and Sarkeesian quarterback, you like to see that, that same form technique, kind of that looseness of a Quinn, right? It's interesting with Rivers when you see it in person.
Hey, CJ, I know you were busy answering that question, and I don't know if you saw it, but Texas got thrown out at third.
Yeah.
After having 2 more runners on. So they strand another one in the top of the third. Actually had 2 runners on with 1 out and ran themselves out of the game. Yeah,
so go through that real quick, Bobby, because we're about 2.5 innings in, right? Texas has given out 4 free bases. They've allowed a home run. They have an error. Now they have 4 guys left on, in which one of them was thrown out on the base paths.
That would have been the 5th one left on.
You're looking at a team playing for their life. You can't be doing this. Can't be doing this.
Wow. Yeah, talk about the margin for error shrinks considerably the deeper you go into the postseason.
Yes.
And the self-inflicted wounds, no matter what sport you're playing, it don't matter.
Yeah.
They don't come back to haunt you. All right.
Hey, by the way, some people have asked about summer workouts start this week. Now, for the kids that just got in, they kind of have to go through the physicals part, right? The Colemans and Nick Townsend, so they may not. If they got them, they may miss Monday or Tuesday. We'll see on that. There's about a 48-hour period after they have their physicals and things like that. But summer workouts do start this week for those wondering. What's going to come of that, Matt? The guys that are out of shape will be throwing up. The guys that are in shape will run like the wind. And people will want a bunch of nuggets from it, and that's what it's going to be. Who look good in shorts throwing up?
Jerry, if I can add to that, I know we're excited for the summer conditioning. I was told that Jack Andrews arrived late last week into campus, was already throwing with Arch Manning and some of the other wide receivers on campus this morning. So acclimating well. I've heard that he's got a great mindset in terms of, hey, it's y'all's team. I'm joining. How can I be a part of it? How can I help? How can I be a part of this unit? So positive sign there. It sounds like he's going to mesh well with this offense. And I'll leave it with this because I'm about to actually walk on over to the dish, hopefully change up some mojo.
Nice.
But I'm excited for it. Heard some really positive things about Jordan Washington. And I think Lance Jackson might be surprising some folks with his physique entering Sunday conditioning as well.
Oh, good stuff, CJ. All right, CJ, thank you, brother, for the contribution as always and the great nuggets. Have a good time and be safe, brother.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thank you yourself.
All right. Thanks, CJ. Yeah. Summer workouts. I'll tell you what's interesting though with this. So you have so many guys that came in this recruiting class, this number one class, and they came in early, that they have the scheme, right? These guys, they know the basic install. It's done. They all got the basic install. Now, during the summer, when you have these player organized workouts and practice, they do 7-on-7s. I don't even know if they do it like we used to do it. They probably are, right now, we used to do it with Texas State, actually, which is crazy. Yeah. We would actually do 7-on-7s with them. We do our own 7-on-7 within the team. And then on the weekends, we would do 7-on-7 with Texas State. They'd come down and do it. I'm sure they don't do that anymore. My point is, though, now they got the basic install. I wonder which one of these or how many of these freshmen, not only transforming their bodies as TJ just talked about a guy like Lance Jackson, who was just, looks like a Marvel comic book character, but also the guys who are transforming their football IQ, their acumen, that now they've absorbed the install, and how many of them now can make it second nature and then come back into training camp with a head start on whoever that competition was. That's why that's a lot of positions. I think cornerback is going to be big for those guys, especially a young guy like a Cade Phillips, some of those young guys, Santana Wilson, we talk about those guys. I think there are a lot of positions potentially where that's where the summer, to me, the impact of those summer workouts can be huge, because you got so many young guys that are already in, they already got the install, and now they can hit the ground running, or should anyway, some of them. And they should separate some of them at least, because a lot of these guys are prodigies coming in this class.
Totally agree. These guys will be more comfortable now. And also, Rod, when they go to their kind of meeting, their little position meetings at times, they'll have a much better conceptual idea, because again, everything should be slowing down for them at this point in terms of, because it all moves so fast when you're in the meeting rooms. Like we've talked about this with Jonah Williams. The 2 times I was there in the spring, or 2 of the times I was there in the spring, Jonah was walking out of the football offices headed over to baseball, because he'd sit in on safety meetings when he could. But the guys who were there went through spring, everything, those freshmen, where everything moves so fast. You're in the meeting rooms, right? And those guys aren't slowing down for you in those meeting rooms, Rod. You've been through it. It's fast paced, right? And they know there's an adjustment period. Then they get out there on the football field, where they go through winter conditioning. Then they get on the field. And so things move really fast. And that's why it's so good to have all these guys, all 21 of these guys in for the spring. Now things from meeting rooms, everything should start slowing down for them a little bit in terms of the day-to-day process of all of this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Look, Texas.
Oh, man.
Look, here, 2 singles and 2 consecutive hit by pitches.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you expect to win?
They're playing some of their worst baseball right now.
I mean, that's not winning baseball. You know, I don't know what to tell you. Not the greatest.
Digging themselves a hole right now. They still got time, but
we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Hey, the one thing that you said there that I agree with for the both of you guys is once guys that are special players get on campus, they kind of change the dynamic or the discussion almost immediately. Ryan Wingo did that. Colin Simmons did that. You know, frankly, the first time you watch Arch Manning play, he kind of did that. You're like, whoa, he's legit. You know, there was no question about whether or not he would make the transition from high school to college, right? If there was ever a question about that. Anthony Hill did the same thing, you know? And, you know, I wonder if, let's see if Nick Townsend is one of those guys, you know, to add to the list of these players. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I'm excited about the group, not just into CJ's point when he's talking about Jack Indries being on campus now, not just those guys, but also, I mean, Murad Watson's coming in right now. So he's going to be here. The Syracuse defensive tackle, LeVar Johnson, the young man out of Maryland. Interested to see how he looks. But let's see where that goes. Let's see where that goes.
Yeah, you know, you got a lot of prodigies in this one class, so I'm with you, Bobby. I don't know which one he's got, how many of them are going to step up, but you could have a couple of special players contribute a little bit early with this group.
It's very rare at a school like Texas where the guys that come in the summer raise your team GPA, but Emmett Mosley and injuries do that too. So we're talking true student.
Hey, didn't they already set a record for the GPA?
Yeah, and we're just going up.
A team record?
We need a recount. We need a recount.
Yeah, man. This that's also something that's trended up too. I would say more wins, more talent because the recruiting classes have gotten better, and the GPA has gotten better. Overall, team GPA has improved too. Sark will tell you that is not a coincidence. It's just you know, that's the culture that he talks about, right? What you do some of the time is what you do all the time, that kind of thing. All right, gang, we got to have
one thing I want to hit on real quick if I can.
Right. Yeah.
About recruiting from this weekend, because this is the first big official visit weekend. So far, so good. Doesn't mean, look, you're as far as commitments publicly go, hasn't been anything this weekend that was kind of hurts Texas or takes away a key target from Texas. We'll see in the next 24 hours if anybody makes a commitment or anything like that. But so far, so good. For Texas, because Texas obviously is a big official visit weekends start next weekend, but around the country, it really kicked off this weekend. I mean, you name it. I mean, Georgia had 6-7 guys that will officially visit Texas. Miami and Florida had multiple guys. Ohio State had 5 or 6 guys, including Xavier Griffin up there and Felix Ojo. I think John Turntime was at Stanford, but Michigan, Penn State, you just go down the list. Alabama had multiple guys, Braden Rouse being one of those. So there was guys everywhere. Florida, multiple guys. Florida State, everybody was dispersed around the country that are Texas targets. And because Texas didn't have OV weekend this weekend, all their top targets are essentially visiting other places. So far, so good. Nobody's committed yet. If Texas can make it through the next 24, 36 hours, it'll be looking good for all these kids continuing on with their process. But it's the same. It's always the same. Team made a move, team trending. You're gonna hear the same every weekend out of all these visits for all these kids.
All right. I know a lot of complaining about Texas baseball in the chat, but I did see a couple of questions for football. How about this one? And this actually got 2 of these. Bob asked it earlier, and then I see Tennessee Longhorn asked it as well. Is there any way or path we don't have a top 5 recruiting class as Bob? Then Tennessee Longhorn threw out something very similar. Hey, with the price of 5 stars going up, do you think we could land outside the top 5 class this year?
I think the top 5 class is all about, for Texas, is all about how many guys they're going to sign. Because they're going to sign a tremendous class. I would say this too. Justice Terry wasn't even on the radar this time a year ago. And multiple guys were not. Grayson Littleton, there was a number of guys that aren't. Jonah Williams was not thought to be going to Texas in June. He'd been predicted.
OU and A&M.
4 different schools
Yeah.
in the process. Oregon, Oklahoma, A&M. Somebody may have thrown out an LSU in there. So, look, these things are going to play out, and I think Texas will sign another top 5 class is what I think will happen at the end of the day, as long as they sign enough guys, because I do think that matters. Because when you're at the Texas, the Georgias of the world, everybody looks at the 5 stars because they get the most notoriety. But these classes are built on how many guys in the top 200, 150, 200 in the country you sign in the class. And in Texas, if their class is big enough, they're going to sign 12, 14 of those guys.
Okay. Yep.
Bases wearing double, guys.
Oh no. I saw Bobby's face, so I knew it wasn't good. I didn't know it was that bad though. Damn. All right. Yeah.
They're getting there. You know what kicked is what's happening. By a spunkier team.
Ed B asked a funny.
Yeah. I ain't gonna say it's
They're
over.
not going to make the Super. Yeah, it's close.
It's close. Fat lady.
They had a 6-run lead on. They had a 6-run or a 5-run lead last night and gave it up.
Yep.
Texas did on UTSA.
John,
they got to string stuff together.
John Brown says, on a positive note, Jonah will be with the football team starting tomorrow.
I guess
that's what I'm about right there.
Look, I
agree with John.
I want to say this though is I think one, you got to stay healthy, and obviously it matters in all athletics at any level. But Schloss went by his first year expectations already.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, that's true.
And it's never going to end how people want it to, unless there's a national championship trophy. But year one, he went by expectations. They just needed to stay a little healthier.
Totally agree. There's no doubt. But
they
don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that right now, Jared. They don't want to hear that right now. Right now, they know they had a really good team. So they didn't want to hear that.
No.
They didn't want to.
3 hit by pitches in 1 inning.
Damn, another one?
Another one.
Oh, they melting down now.
Now there's another.
Yeah, they playing like they're ready to go home now. They are playing like
they're going to get run ruled, and you can't even get run ruled in the NCAA tournament.
Oh, man. What is it about UTSA? What is it about UTSA in Texas? That's weird. Texas baseball.
I think they're just a better team than Texas right now.
They're playing.
Clearly, they've given away of the players that have scored. I think only 4 of them have gotten hits. Damn. Of the 7 runs. I mean, you can't, or no, only 3 of them have scored. So you can't give up. You just can't do that. Anyways, I digress. I probably shouldn't get upset over this, but it is what it is. Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Jerry's got the right idea, though. That hey, when you think about it, what were your expectations first year
we lived through 5 and 7 on a football field, giving up 57 at home to Kansas. Okay.
Oh, it was worse than that under Charlie Strong and Tom Herman at times.
No, I mean Sark's first year though, 5 and 7 and giving up 57 at home to Kansas. Not the basketball team, football team.
Oh, I remember.
So this is a Swedish massage compared to that. Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to say it's over yet, but it ain't looking good. It ain't looking good. All right, we'll get back to some other Texas baseball discussion. Obviously, as the game continues, I want to get back to football though. I don't know if Matt has it, but Pro Football Focus, they're doing their position rankings and everything. But they had a breakdown of every individual player on some of their rankings, and they recently broke down Colin Simmons about him as being the best edge defender in all of college football. And it's interesting when you look at, I was actually doing a little breakdown. I did it for Sunday school. But I was looking at the blitzes. I went and looked at every sack, right? Every sack, and I looked at every sack from Colin Simmons. And it was interesting. What I found was that he's way more versatile of a pass rusher than we realize. It's almost like we see the BGO and the freaky ball get off and the freaky first step, and we assume, man, he just goes and beats guys, straight up every time, which he does. He can beat guys straight up. But if you go look at it, he had 2 sacks where he can just kind of beat a guy straight up. He had 2 where they called a blitz on that play. He ends up with a 1-on-1. And essentially all of these different elements, all the pass, all the pressure packages they put together, essentially they're all just trying to isolate him in a 1-on-1. And they get him in a 1-on-1, he wins. And they use a lot of different ways. He got sacks and on plays with simulated pressures. Got sacks where they actually blitz guys. Got sacks where, like I said, they were just straight up wins for him, where he just beat a guy. I think I saw him off the ball a lot more when I went back and watched it too. I just think it's going to be interesting how they use him this year, with all the different elements they have of Anthony Hill and Brad Spence, and also having moving around Trey Moore. And Trey Moore, by the way, going back and watching I was actually more impressed rewatching some of Trey Moore's reps too as a pass rusher late in the season.
Yeah,
he really got going. I don't know. I think he just kind of found his groove. He was actually impacting plays, but he just wasn't making the splash plays. And it's almost like once teams could basically, they didn't have the luxury of paying attention to him because you had to worry about Colin Simmons. Hell, Baron Sorrell was a beast. All right, at there, right? You had so many other players you had to focus on that you really couldn't devote too much attention to Trey Moore. So he was winning one-on-ones. And so what you realize, like, you have a lot of guys who can just win one-on-one battles up front on that defensive front. And that's going to be the key. I think they're going to add some more guys who can. I think Justice Terry probably going to be one of them guys too. But and Vosick, guys, we got, I'm telling you, this dude is the small, and they're all small sample sizes for him. He actually has your highest havoc rate of any of the returning players. Small sample size. And if you go look at how many, both of his sacks came on just straight up wins. Just him versus one other guy, just beating the dude straight up. That dude can be special if he stays healthy. Yes. So basically, I'm obviously going on here, but Colin Simmons is where it starts. But man, the Texas pass rush can be so much more diverse than just a Colin Simmons or an Anthony Hill. It does have a chance to be special. You need all those pieces to come together. But man, right now, I think you got to, and Jerry's already said it, I think you got a chance to have the best pass rush in Texas football history. I'm feeling like that. And I don't know if Colin Simmons is going to break the record. I know we've been talking about that. But even if he doesn't break the record, he's going to get double digits. But I'm starting to feel better about the supporting cast of pass rushers around Colin Simmons and what they can do too. Thoughts? Sorry.
Yeah. No. I think Colin Simmons may be the best defensive player in college football this year. I've said it. He's just got to stay healthy to make that happen, because I think he's gonna make another big step. Now, I think he'll face a lot of doubles. He's going to help other guys. But Rod, I totally agree. I mean, I bet if you go back and start looking at Brad Spence, I bet you're going to be equally impressed with Brad Spence, considering he was at Arkansas. Him and Landon Jackson were the two best defenders on that team, and Landon Jackson was a second-round pick. Colton Vosick, and that's the one for me. That's the one. Like, I have, if he can ever put a healthy season together, and it hasn't been, I guess, since his junior and a half year in high school, because I think he played through it a little bit his senior year. He just hadn't had that healthy season. We're kind of at that Jordan Whittington. Hey, man, if you ever put one together, we know it's going to be really good, and he's a better pro prospect, obviously, than Jordan Whittington would be coming out of college if he ever puts that season together. But he's the one for me, because I think you know what you're going to get out of Ethan Burke. I think you know what you're going to get out of Colin Simmons. And I think Trey Moore, you can move him around. Anthony Hill, you can move him around. If Colton Vosick has a healthy season, look, there's a chance he could be Texas' second best pass rusher to Colin Simmons.
I agree with that, actually. I do.
That's how big of a deal a healthy season is for Vosick to me.
I don't disagree with that.
Don't forget about Ethan Burke.
Yeah.
I mean, Look, Texas has a ridiculous amount of wealth at that position, at pass rush. I feel, going back to what Rob was talking about with Trey Moore, his numbers spiked after they started playing Colin Simmons more.
They did.
Now, to Rod's point, before they started playing Colin Simmons a bunch, he was this close to making a bunch of big plays.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, we would talk about it every week. Man, he almost got there. And then all of a sudden, Colin Simmons starts playing, Trey Moore starts making more plays. And I think, and this is not a negative against Trey Moore, I just think that to the larger point is Simmons is one of those guys that is going to affect multiple positions. Some people do that. Right? I mean, I'll tell you, what do you do if Anthony Hill and Colin Simmons are rushing from the same side next year? I mean, they do some
if that happens,
really athletic dudes that have good get off and can cause some athletic problems.
Like Catbird seat, Alex January.
But you get my point, right? It's like, think about that. I mean, if your guard and running back are going to have their heads swimming, much less the center. I mean, center's not even going to. He's going to shade that way, and then you're going to have, to Jerry's point, Colin, or you'll have.
That's why I look
or Ethan Burke or Colton.
The secondary has to have the continuity this year, and I think that's kind of the biggest thing is, are they going to have the same connectedness? Because that secondary was like a great half-court high school or college basketball team. They were just communication, connectivity was unbelievable.
Everything, it really was.
I think the front seven is going to be better defensively than was last year, and I maintain I think they're going to play the run better on the interior, and I think part of it's because. Look, if Colin Simmons is out there, he's going to command so much attention and Anthony Hill's going to command attention. The Texas interior defensive players, one, I think they got good over the ball players that are command too, like Cole Brevard can, a Travis Shaw can. But I just think these guys are going to have favorable matchups, guys. I really do. And I think the interior D linemen are going to be more disruptive than we think because they're going to have more favorable matchups. And I think that's going to also open up the linebackers to have – and I think the linebacker group's more talented as a whole, but they're going to be in better positions too. I just look at this and say the front seven I think is going to be better than a year ago. It's going to – and that's not taking anything away from Barron Sorrell, who was a tremendous football player. Alfred Collins had a great year. Vernon had a great year. But I just look at what Texas is recruiting, how many of those guys they have now. What does that depth look like? And the depth at linebacker with SEC size. I just see a defense that's going to be even better than a year ago, personnel-wise and depth-wise.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how many linebackers they end up playing. We know Anthony Hill doesn't leave the field, but with LaFau and Spence and now Trey Moore getting reps at linebacker, we know they like Ty Anthony Smith a lot too. And Sark even said, I saw Bobby's tweet about it. Sark said that was the most surprising group in the spring. Like that was the biggest pleasant surprise, just how deep and talented that linebacker room is. I can't wait to see what the rotation is situationally, how they use these guys, matchups just week to week. If certain guys are, a little bit more are advantageous because of their skill set to that matchup. I can't wait to see what they do with it because, for the most part, it's been kind of a three. You've had, three linebackers in getting majority of the reps, right? It was Anthony Hill, LaFau last year, and Benda got the majority. And then they threw in some Ty Anthony Smith a little bit later on. Mo Blackwell got through those guys in there. But I wonder if you'll get, just more, more of a heavy rotation potential. I know Anthony Hill, he never leaves the field. But in terms of the other guys, situationally, I wonder if they'll just match up a little bit better because you have so much depth.
Well, the way I look at it too, guys, is where you continue to take steps as a defense is as your depth builds, you're going to play more guys. And none of those guys are going to be tired. Like, that's the thing. They should all be fresh. Like, now there's the Georgia games where your starters are going to play more at Florida, maybe at Ohio State, but your guys, by and large, are going to be fresher because you have more of them. I mean, it's like the biggest common sense thing ever in football. Hey, look, the more talent on your front seven, the depth you have, the fresher your guys are every time they're out there. And that's when you become a problem for everybody. And for me, defensively, is all right. Ethan Burke's a starter. He got his reps. Here comes Colton Vossick. Good luck with that when he's got fresh legs and you're on snap 6 of a drive. It's just that stuff just builds over time, over quarters of a game, over games over the course of the year. That's when I think you take the next step defensively for Texas is they're going to have more of those guys. I mean, what's it going to look like when Lance Jackson and Justice Terry are midway through their freshman year? I mean, they're going to have more of these guys, and that means your guys are always going to have fresh legs 95% of the time when they're on the field. That is a great place to be defensively.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, we got a super chat here. Oh, there it is. Tyson Sanders, a little off topic. Ooh. Texas ever show interest in the ETX great running back Lennon Creer? Always been curious.
Ken Rucker awesome, Bobby, but they never ruin it, really.
No, they were not heavy goers on Lennon. He ended up at Tennessee from Tatum, Texas. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Me and you've been up there before. A guy named Travian Smith.
Yes.
I don't think Rod played against Travian Smith.
I don't even know. Where's that?
That was before.
Where's Tatum?
Tatum is deep East Texas, over by Carthage in that area. It is
it's closer to like Rusk and stuff like that. It's down south of that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is deep East Texas.
I was trying to think when Travian Smith. No, Travian Smith was before Rod. He was
like 94, 95, something like that.
He was first round pick, or actually he was drafted in 98. So he came out the year before Rod, that signing class. That guy was a freak. He was 6'4", 240 and returned kickoffs for Oklahoma. Played linebacker.
Returned kickoffs as a linebacker?
Oh yeah.
That is
freaky. He was I think he ran on the 4x1 and 4x2 team, I think, for Tatum as well. And they had another player on that team that played running back at Baylor when Baylor was decent.
Yep.
Anthony Hodge Overstreet.
Yep. Tatum's had some dudes. They won state in hoops this year.
That was a 2A school, by the way.
Yeah.
Lewis school.
Lennon Career picked. To finish it, Lennon Career picked Tennessee over Alabama. Major Applewhite was the primary recruiter for Alabama on that one. I remember that. I remember that because I went to see Lennon Career, and it was weird to see Major Applewhite in an Alabama coaching shirt.
That's funny. Love me some Major. Weird. All right, let's thank our friends over at Rogue Shop as we approach the end of our live stream. RogueShop.com, folks. Check it out for yourself. They have it all from oils and creams, flour and gummies. They're bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. Remember to use that discount code. You see it there on your screen on Texas, and you'll get a very special discount from our friends over at Rogue Shop, RogueShop.com. So no matter what you're dealing with, maybe it's sleep deprivation or maybe it's just aches and pains from battling Father Time or just getting old or for your playing days like myself, or maybe it's anxiety you've been dealing with. Our friends at Rogue Shop, they have a variety of different items, oils, creams, flour, gummies, lots of different things to help you battle those different ailments. So check them out, RogueShop.com. They may have something perfect for your situation. RogueShop.com. Use that discount code on Texas, and we appreciate their ongoing sponsorship and support of On Texas Football. All right. How about this one? Jake, I believe we covered this, but to bring it back full circle and to kind of sum up things, Jake wants to know, did the rest of the transfer portal guys get on campus today? We had CJ on. He talked about how Jack injuries. Transfer was already on campus. Does that mean all the rest of the guys too, Jerry? Because summer workouts, they're reporting for some workouts. Are they officially here as well?
Everybody's scheduled to be here today, but we have not. I don't think we've confirmed 100% on that. But guys were scheduled to be in yesterday and today.
I would add this. Jerry had something about this too. some of the high school kids are actually that came in at midterm are actually going back to their high school graduations right now.
Yeah, I think they wrapped up yesterday or today.
KJ Lacey went on Thursday or Friday, Jerry, and you had a couple that were going back, but I don't know.
Nick Townsend moved his stuff in Friday night, moved the stuff in Saturday, drove back to Houston for graduation, I think today, and it's headed back tonight. So these kids are they're going back for their high school graduations, but everybody should be on campus because workouts are scheduled to begin tomorrow. Now, again, for the portal guys who just got in, or the high school guys that just got in, not the early graduates, the 3 guys that weren't early graduates, there's normally about a 48-hour window there because they go through the whole physicals, right? I don't know if y'all did that when you came out. And so there's about a 48-hour window where they may not take part in the summer workouts unless they got in and did all their physicals late last week.
Yeah. Do they still do testing like when you get there, like physical testing?
You have an EKG when you get there because obviously that's the big one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, remember Gary Johnson, the basketball player from Aldine, got to Texas and he had his EKG and they said he had an enlarged heart and he ended up missing half of his freshman year.
Okay.
The EKG, the heart tests those are the big ones, obviously, for these guys to look what happened with who was the linebacker guys that had spinal stenosis?
Gabriel Floyd,
right? I mean, so those are the key tests that these guys go through, and there's about a 48-hour waiting period for those guys. Everything cleared, and then they're good to go.
Yeah, we used to have to do like fitness test though. Make sure to see what kind of shape you're in, basically.
I've always
in the mix. They'd be like, let's see if they're in shape enough, so we won't, basically kill this person out there trying to run them through drills and they're not ready to go. They've been just eating ice cream and hanging out. So I don't know if they still do that. They probably do something more sophisticated now, but dog would just take you out there and they would do a little test.
Hey, Rod, did you do the vision test like this? Like, just did y'all have vision test? Just come
we old school.
I've always said it's crazy about college football, and some coaches have changed it up a little bit. They don't have real eye tests when these guys get in. Imagine, like, Ryan Wingo just had LASIK, right?
Yeah.
Did he drop a couple of balls late in the season that could have helped? What if it wasn't, oh my gosh, this guy doesn't have great hands. What if he just couldn't see? Like, it's always amazing to me how many millions and millions of dollars go into these all these teams in this sport, and how much is on the line between 9-3 and 7-5.
They don't test
or
that.
9-3 and 10-2 if you miss the playoffs. I would really want to know where my guy's vision's at.
It's a great point. I mean,
my quarterbacks, my left tackles, my receivers. I mean, especially those guys.
Yeah, I would have to talk, because didn't we hear a story about Mikael Thompson back in the day? That they had it was an eye issue, he was wearing glasses or something like that, and then he got contacts or something. They did something. But you're right, Jerry. I think we might have, but I can't really remember it. And you're right. They should prioritize it. Didn't Jameis Winston famously in the league have to have like LASIK? Maybe it deteriorates though, fit quicker for some than others. Like now, my vision is terrible. I used to see 20/20 like an eagle. So maybe for some guys, while they're literally in college, maybe it gets worse. Like, I don't know. That's a great question though.
Could you imagine if your left tackle was 20/30 and, oh man, that guy's slow to react.
His hand placement is off. Like,
you can't see. Like, what does that cost you? I don't know, a game, maybe 2.
Jerry, man, it might be a good. That's a great suggestion. Next time you hanging out up there, you might need to whisper in somebody's ear, like, "Hey."
Surely they have this corrected by now.
I gotta tell this story before we get out of here. I'll tell one story as it relates to exactly what y'all are talking about. Back when I was in school and working for the team, I think it was 1989. Donovan Forbes was a quarterback at the University of Texas. Texas was going through a group of quarterbacks at that time, trying to find anybody. Mark Murdoch, Donovan Forbes got a chance. Shannon Kelly. It may have been 88. I can't remember. Long story short, Donovan Forbes out of Baytown, Jerry and Rod, was the quarterback. And they came over, and he had yet to play much at Texas. and they put him in the game, and he was having some success. Well, he would get down near the goal line a couple times, and they could see him. This is back when they signaled in the plays. They didn't run anybody. So they signaled in the plays, and they could see him squinting, where he literally couldn't see the plays that far away.
Garrett Gilbert.
They got him contacts the next week.
Garrett Gilbert. Hey, y'all remember Garrett Gilbert did that?
Yeah.
I have to tell you, it's legit. So,
Well, so Marquis
in
says
the 80s.
well, Marquis
yeah,
says
that's the 80s. So you're still having this problem 30 years later. That's my. I mean, let's get this fixed. Let's make sure we get eye appointments for everybody.
I agree. Marquis says something that guys know if they can see or not. We got to hold them accountable. I'm not like totally disagreeing with you, but if you're used to how you see, how do you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. You don't get vision tests regularly. Most people don't. You should.
Like I watched Lima Swede. I watched Lima Swede double catch a lot of footballs, and I always wondered, has he ever had his eyes dilated? Like really had his eyes tested?
Probably not. All right. I'm gonna ask some youngsters next time I talk to them too. At third and long, I'm gonna be like, hey, did you have a vision test when you gave it? I'm gonna get to the bottom of this, Jerry. We're gonna get to the bottom.
If not, we're gonna have the OTF mobile vision. Yeah. You're like a good business idea right now.
It is a good business idea. All right. Thank you guys for all your participation, the super chats. Really appreciate all you guys' questions, comments. There are some questions, comments we did not address. Please, you can save them for the guys at Coffee Football. These gentlemen right here, Jerry and Bobby, will be there bright and early, 8:15 tomorrow morning for coffee and football. And then also you'll have the winning drive with myself, Coach Bob Shipley, and CJ Vogel. That'll be at 3:15 tomorrow for the winning drive. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes, a real MVP. Matthew does a great job each and every day for us. We really appreciate him. We also appreciate our sponsor, Rogue Shop, rogueshop.com. Remember, use that discount code on Texas. You'll get a very special discount from my friends over at Rogue Shop. Free eye check on Von Lane. Not really.
Yes.
Just sit on the bus. And they'll be comfortable. It'll be luxurious. All right. Thank you to Matthew, for Jerry, and for Bobby. I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Beavers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.